Hey there, Tundra Nation, and welcome back to the channel. Today on Tundra Tactical, we bring you another edition of Ask Tundra Nation, the show where you guys, the fans, get to ask questions to me and have them read and answered on the show. So make sure to drop the video a like, stay tuned, thanks for watching, and let's start the show. Before we get started with your questions, we want to say a big thank you to our friends over at Big Daddy Unlimited for sponsoring this week's video. With Father's Day a month away, BDU is your spot to find all the stuff that dad is actually gonna like. Don't be like the rest of the chumps out there that just get dad a tie or a pair of socks. Trust me when I say that after putting up with all your crap for all these years, your dad is looking for a return on his investment, and Big Daddy Unlimited has over 300,000 options at discounted prices to make sure that your dad is less likely to write you out of his will. Sign up now and your first month's only going to be 99 cents, and that is a small price to pay to keep your inheritance. All right, guys, our very first question comes from our buddy Auxiliary Josh, and he would like to know, would it be possible for a new rifle to make the AR platform obsolete in the civilian market? What kind of features would that new rifle need to have? Short answer, no, I don't think it would be possible for a rifle, at least in the near future, to overtake the popularity and replace the AR-15 in the civilian market. It's just too flexible, man. It's just too flexible. There's too much stuff that you can do with it. And I'm sure that that would be an absolute requirement on the new gun. However, I would kind of feel like it'd be moderately redundant at that point. The only thing that comes close to features that would potentially replace the AR-15, the only gun that I can think of is something like the MCX Spear. And it's so similar already to the AR-15 that I don't think it would supplant it. It would definitely be a high-end AR type rifle, and its popularity, obviously in the military trials and all that type of stuff, with the new 6.8 round, that's going to be the closest thing that you're going to get. I don't think that technology is quite caught up with the desire for innovation, which is why we're seeing the same things recycled over and over, just with different names slapped on them. I mean, there's only so many different ways you can make a DI gun or direct impingement gun versus a piston gun before you just run out of ideas on the platform. So it would need to be this like radical new design, some friggin' rail gun or some crazy thing like that. As much as I would love to see it in maybe not our lifetime, but over the course of the next decade or so, I could be wrong, but over the course of the next decade or so, I don't think that we're going to see a replacement. In regards to what features would it have to have, it would have to have everything be transferable. And what I mean by that is there is a huge aftermarket for the AR platform right now. And all of that stuff would have to transfer. You know, you'd have to run it on M-Lock. You'd have to run it on all the standardized, platforms that we have now for the AR-15 so that everything doesn't have to be reinvented. Because one of the worst things a company can do, HK, is just run proprietary stuff over and over and over again. And that's why, yes, they're nice guns. Yes, usually things like that are pretty high end. But when you niche down and make everything proprietary, the industry, the support industry, has to reinvent the wheel just to accommodate your product. So that is the best way I can answer that question. I don't see the AR going anywhere. Same thing with the AK. Any of the modern major AR platforms, we've seen plenty of things try to replace it. The CZ Brens and the Bren 2s, the Scars. And while they are cool, it's more, I think, a personal preference gun than anything else. Do you want to not be the cookie cutter dude that has an AR-15, just have something ridiculously similar and usually a lot more expensive, but they're all so similar that I don't really think that you could classify it as a replacement. Hopefully that answers your question, buddy. I know I kind of danced around the tulips there towards the end, but that's what I got to say. Coming up next, we've got Oof Master Ranger dropping this question. Do you think just as good for my applications is a more accurate statement, or do you believe a majority of the just as gooders actually believe their guns are just as good? Believe it or not, that's kind of a tough sentence to read. This is, how do you want me to answer this? The truth or the Tundra answer? Because the Tundra answer is, of course, yes, they all believe they're just as good and they'll swear by him and die on that cross. And the rest of us normal people who aren't idiots just can't understand why. It's just baffling to us. With that being said, I think the real answer is in a certain percentage of cases, yes. I think that just as good for my applications is an accurate statement. Do I genuinely have a seething deep down hatred for companies like Taurus or Canic or, you know, I don't know. I don't know if I can like include High Point in that and not keep a straight face. But, you know, those just as good companies, right? Those just as good guns. Do I really hate them? In some cases, yes, absolutely I do. In most cases, I understand the purpose that they're there to serve, you know, give people some options to get into firearms for, you know, under $300, $400. And that's okay. I've said this a million times and I'm going to maintain this until the day I die. Do not misunderstand what your gun is there to do. Sure, it might look like a carry gun. Sure, it might look like a full-size duty, you know, pistol or rifle or what have you. But the simple fact of the matter is, you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for. And with that being said, if you're paying a substandard price, or maybe not a substandard price, but a below average cost, generally speaking, there's a reason for it. I think people get so blinded by brand loyalty, especially if it's their first gun. If it's your first gun, you're going to fall in love with it. You're going to have a ton of fun with it, and you're going to believe that it's the end, do all, be all, end all gun, and that you're never going to need another one until the bug bites you and you end up with 36 more guns, just hopefully not all trashed here. The people who can graduate from that are the people that you're describing as the just as good for my applications, because they're understanding that I'm buying this gun. I'm not really like planning on having this be my primary carry gun. This is just going to be my range toy. Maybe it's my first handgun and I'm looking to learn the basics of pistol shooting. Great. I don't need to spend $600-700 on a handgun to do that. I can theoretically get a moderately functional firearm that teaches me the fundamentals, and then I can progress on to, you know, a buy once, cry once gun or something more middle of the road like a Glock, or, you know, I guess it's not really middle of the road, but like a 509, something like that. And that gives them the option to do so. It opens the door, kind of like a gateway drug, I guess. YouTube, please don't demonetize me. We're not talking about drugs, just guns. Infinitely worse, I know. Anywho, the other side of the story is the diehard just as gooders. The guy who goes out and buys a Smith & Wesson M&P Shield and is just blown away. You know, it's the best gun ever. Let me tell you, there is literally nothing remarkable about a shield. There just is not. Is it a good gun? Is it a bad gun? No and no. It's just middle of the road. It does its job, but there should be nothing that screams, "Oh my God, this is the gun that sold me on Smith & Wesson." There's, you know, if we're talking about, I don't know, you're a revolver weirdo or something and you got a 686 or, you know, something crazy like that, maybe. But there's literally nothing remarkable about half these guns. And for whatever reason, because of brand loyalty and a desire to justify the purchase that they made, these idiots want to go out and try to convince the world that, you know, a G3C is just as good as a Glock 48 or, you know, some other comparison. If you want to make it down in the comments, go ahead. What's your best just as good experience? Put that down there. I'd love to read those. Like I said earlier, the people who are going to graduate from that are the just as good for my applications bit. Is it a great excuse? Nah, not necessarily. They're kind of on the bubble of going either way, down the rabbit hole or being able to claw their way out of the just as good pit, I guess. But I do believe it holds some accuracy. So there you go. Oof. Thanks for participating in Ask Tundra Nation. And we'll see you soon, bud. Next one is coming from, I believe it's Gatlin69, lol. He wants to know what goes into the beard upkeep. Well, I am going to be a little bit disappointing for you on this one. Nothing, nothing. The key to the beard, and it's getting a little scraggly here right now because the humidity in good old Minnesota up here is getting a little bit high, even for late spring. It's definitely starting to get humid, so the beard tends to go. But there's no special sauce, lol. There's nothing extra that I do with it, and every now and again I put beard oil in it just for the skin underneath if it gets dry. The key and the trick for a good beard: blow dryer. That is it. It's simple as that. Wash, shampoo, maybe a little frou-frou conditioner every now and again, you know, just if I'm feeling extra that day. And then just get out of the shower, blow dry, run a brush through it, call it a day. That's all you need to do, buddy. With that being said, if you guys know of any beard products that would be willing to sponsor the show, have them get in touch with me, Tyler@TundraTactical.com, or just drop a comment down in the comment section below. Very rarely do we do this, but we have a twofer. This one's also coming from Gatlin69, and he would like to know, what are your thoughts on Beretta's new, holy shit, $3,300 revolver? Is it relevant? Well, it's a revolver. I don't know. I got to look this thing up. Here, give me just a second to pull this thing up. Okay, so I'm looking at an article from tacticallife.com. The legendary how do you even pronounce this? Manurhin? Manurhin? I don't even know. These revolvers are coming to the US thanks to Beretta, originally built to arm special police and military units. Oh, is this that French revolver that I kept getting shit on because I say that revolvers weren't being used by the military? And everyone's like, oh no, wait. Oh, but you forgot about this one fucking example. I just cursed, so we're gonna get demonetized. You just forgot about this one example, and now I must correct everything that you do. No, get wrecked. Get out of my lobby, man. But I'll kind of paraphrase the article here. It looks like it says, Beretta made big news Wednesday. Oh, so this is recent. When was this? May 5th. So it says, Beretta made big news Wednesday, formally announcing a new brand under its umbrella of companies. Beretta will begin importing Manurhin. I don't think it's called Manurhin, but maybe it is. Manurhin revolvers into the US for commercial sale. Great, I guess. So it's a 357 Magnum. Looks like they have a 4-inch and a 5-inch model. I'm getting kind of like a combo 686 and Colt Python vibe from this gun, which means it is absolutely irrelevant. This is a grab right here. It's not a cash grab, but it's an audience grab for all of the people that were disappointed in the Python. The re-release, excuse me, of the Python. You know, as we all know, at least I think we all know, the Pythons are drying up, the used ones, the good ones from back in the day, and of course Colt went for the revive. Didn't really go quite as well as they would have hoped, and it's premium tier pistol, so you're kind of expecting to get a premium tier gun. Granted, this thing is a little bit more expensive, well, quite a bit more expensive actually than the new Pythons. I think the new Pythons are MSRP in somewhere around like the $2,000 mark. I could be wrong in that. I'm not going to look it up right now. Somebody correct me down in the comments. And this being $3,300, this is absolutely targeting those people who wanted a classic handgun or wanted a classic revolver, excuse me, and weren't able to get their hands on an original-ish Colt Python. That's 100% my guess as to the reason Beretta made this move, because I cannot imagine they're going to sell a whole lot of them. And at that price point, think of the guns you can buy. I mean, you can damn near afford a CZ Parrot for that price, or yeah, a Checkmate. Sorry, probably not a Parrot, but you get close to a Checkmate. You're in Atlas gun territory. It's not. I don't think this is going to be a competition revolver. This could be the nicest wheelgat under the sun that we've seen in some time. But is it relevant? Absolutely not. No, it's kind of like the same reason I convinced my dad to get the field pistol. It's kind of a trophy piece. It'll probably be a display gun. You might see somebody trying to big flex on the pores out there on the gun range just for the sake of saying, look at this is my French revolver. And I was just like, nah, man, come on. It's cool and all, but you're not flexing on anybody with that. That's just dumb, I guess. Is it cool? Sure. It's that gun that the French military and police use. Wonderful. Does it make it worth $3,300? Probably not. But like I said, I will reserve judgment until I can finally maybe get my hands on one someday and shoot it. My opinions could change. You never know. Unlikely though. Coming in next, we have Crazy J with his question. In what situation is 338 Winchester over the top? I believe the correct answer to this is yes. But let's figure out why. Let me pull this up here. I did, believe it or not, a little bit of prep for this one because I have not shot 338 Winchester Magnum in some time. I have shot it like once or twice way back when, but I was figuring, you know, it's a big, powerful Magnum cartridge, so it's got to compete probably on the level of the 30-06. Boy, was I wrong. There's a bit of a gap. We'll just call it a bit of a gap. I'm looking at I'm just doing like quick research here, nothing too scientific, but 165 grain boat tail. We're looking at, for a 30-06, 2,800 feet per second. At muzzle, we're looking at 2,872 foot-pounds of energy. or 3,894 joules. We look at this bad boy. Holy crap. Quite a bit heavier bullet, 200 grain, at 2950 feet per second. That is insanely quick for that big of a bullet. And you're looking at 3,866 foot-pounds of energy. And once again, real quick research, so I'm sure this isn't totally accurate, but a total of 5,242 joules looks like at the muzzle. Now let's see if these are both. Yep, they're both 24-inch bolt guns for test benches. And yeah, so when you're going from what 28 to 38, literally 1,000 foot-pounds more energy. Is it over the top for anything that you're probably gonna shoot, save for a friggin' grizzly bear? Yes, maybe a moose. But I mean, if the OT-6 was designed for North American large game, then I mean, this is like cartwheeling a buffalo on the moon. I don't know of a situation where, other than just, you know, my caliber is bigger than your caliber, or my caliber slaps harder than your caliber, in North America at least, where this is going to be hugely popular, or not popular, but hugely practical, over the top, maybe a little extra, sure, definitely. And there's something to be said for that. We all like to have guns that, you know, make the person to our left and to our right bleed from every orifice in their body when we shoot it. That's part of the fun, but not terribly practical. And so is it over the top? Yes, it is, in every situation, but cool. All right, running a serious question today. We have N7X Ranger, and he says, Scott's injury is an excellent reminder that medical training and supplies should be an essential part of firearms ownership. What are some good places to start learning first aid? Wherever you can is the correct answer for that. Well, maybe not wherever you can. Obviously, you got to vet your instructors just like you would with a firearms instructor. But first aid training is incredibly important. It's actually an area where I lack quite a bit of knowledge in, or at least current knowledge. I have not taken a first aid class in a very long time, and I'm probably well overdue and could use a refresher. You know, the simple fact of the matter is we train a ton with our firearms, but we never plan for contingency other than, you know, like the action of drawing and employing the use of our firearms. We never plan for the oh crap moment when things don't always go the way we expect them to in our heads. And if you're thinking that they are, you're being delusional. Trust me. In terms of who I would trust for my first aid training, or where I would go, there is one spot and one spot only, maybe not only, but the spot that I know and recommend would be our good buddy Sean from We Like Shooting. He is a fantastic trainer. I have been for a long time trying to set up a course here in Minnesota, get like 5 or 6 or 7 guys together, have him come out, and we do a big, you know, full day training session. So I've seen a ton of his work. I trust him. I know the guy personally. He's a fantastic dude. He's extremely knowledgeable on the subject, very passionate on the subject as well. And that's a big thing to have in an instructor, not just somebody who's going through the motion to sign off a paycheck, but he's actually trying to teach people life-saving skills, or just basic first aid that could prevent further injury in the firearms world. Well, not even just in the firearms world, just in the world in general. But every RSO, every, you know, range employee should have a basic understanding of first aid, not to mention the customers that go there. Maybe not every single one of them, but a good percentage of us should have that knowledge of first aid, because if something does go wrong, accidents do happen. We've all heard the stories of some guy, you know, at a class trying to reholster his gun, puts a round through his foot, or worse, you know, rips it down the side of his leg. I've got plenty of stories from when I worked at ranges where you see some pretty gnarly stuff. You know, it's always good to have that ability to not just know how to apply a tourniquet or a bandage, which is what I think a lot of like the general purpose audience, that's where their knowledge ends, and maybe even not quite that high. It's something that you should know on a basic level, and even better, progressing it parallel to your firearms training. The more you learn about guns, the more you should be learning about first aid. We spend a lot of time on auxiliary equipment like gear. A lot of us carry IFAKs, but I'll be the first to admit, I have put a less than great amount of effort into maintaining my knowledge, and I'm probably a little rusty, and if shit were to hit the fan, I might be in a bad spot, because let's be honest, when you got to try to recall something that you learned 5, 6, 7 years ago under stress, probably not going to happen the way you want it to. So yeah, thanks, Ranger. I appreciate the question. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for Ask Tundra Nation this week. Don't forget to drop a like on the video. Check out these two cripplers right here if you enjoyed this one. And make sure to join us next week when we still don't know what the fuck we're doing.